The city around it is 30 stories. This is 1,000 meters. A pale silver shaft, 3 shoulders, a short lantern at the top. Not a needle, a building. What would actually happen if we tried to build a skyscraper 1 kilometer into the sky? 828 meters. That is the tallest building standing on Earth. The Burj Khalifa, completed in 2010. A kilometer still sits 172 meters above it. The Council on Tall Buildings and Urban Habitat calls anything over 600 meters megatall. Merdeka 118 in Kuala Lumpur, 679 meters. Shanghai Tower, 632. The Eiffel Tower, 330. Stack 3 Eiffel Towers and you are still short of a kilometer. And height is not one number. The Burj Khalifa's highest occupied floor sits at 585 meters. More than 240 meters of the world's tallest building is not a floor you can live on. A kilometer building is not the same as a kilometer needle. Before the tower exists, the ground has to agree. In Dubai, the Burj Khalifa stands on a raft of reinforced concrete 3.7 meters thick, carried by 192 board piles. Each pile is 1.5 meters across and 43 meters long. That is a solution for that sand, that water table, that load. Move the same tower onto granite and the footing changes. Move it onto a river delta and it changes again. The ground does not care about the rendering, it cares about stress. There is no universal foundation for a kilometer, only the geology you are given and the investigation you are willing to pay for. Then the mass. Every floor, every pane of glass, every tank of water, every person travels down through the structure. The load does not vanish, it concentrates. In a megatall, that path is a core, a hard vertical spine with wings that keep the shaft from twisting. The Burj uses a buttressed core and a Y-shaped plan, shaped to stand and shaped to be built. There is no honest tonnage for a kilometer tower that does not exist. What there is the physics. The higher you go, the more of the building exists only to hold up the building. And then the wind finds you. At street level, air is weather. At 600 meters, it is a load that never clocks out. Air peeling off a blunt shaft rolls into vortices, left, then right, then left. That pulse is called vortex shedding. If it matches the building's own sway, the motion grows. Existing megatalls already move at the tip on the order of 1 to 2 meters. Not a collapse, a slow drift that people can feel. So the plan changes as it rises. Shoulders, setbacks, a section the wind never sees twice. On Taipei 101, sawtooth corners cut the crosswind response by up to 40% in published tests. Between the 86th and 92nd floors hangs a steel sphere of 660 tons, a tuned mass damper, swinging against the building so the building does not have to. It is flown in a wind tunnel, on a model, for months, until the shape stops lying. We will not invent a sway number for a tower that does not exist. At a kilometer, wind is not a detail. It is the antagonist. If you decided to try, the sequence is not mysterious. It is slow. First the ground is read. Boreholes, cores, months of geology, not a weekend survey. Then excavation, a hole deep enough for a city basement, shored so the city next door does not slide in. Then the foundation, raft, piles, whatever that ground demanded. Then the core starts to climb. Concrete, floor by floor, a form rising like a chimney. The structural frame follows the core, steel or composite, never floating, always tied back. Floors go in as decks. Then the facade, thousands of panels, each one a piece of weather. Plant is not last. It is threaded through the shaft as you go, because you cannot retrofit a city's lungs. Elevators go in as banks, not as an afterthought. And at the end, commissioning. Every pump, every damper, every fire stair, proven before anyone calls it finished. People working in wind you cannot stand in at street level. Nothing about this is magic. It is logistics repeated for years. Height has a quieter problem. A conventional steel elevator rope is useful for only so long. Industry figures put that single run at around 500 meters. Beyond that, the rope starts to spend its strength lifting itself. A kilometer is not a longer shaft, it is a different machine. One manufacturer, Kone, claims a carbon fiber hoisting rope that could travel up to 1,000 meters. A manufacturer claim, not a completed kilometer elevator. The first serious attempt at a kilometer building, Jeddah Tower, designed by Adrian Smith to stand at least 1,000 meters, still unfinished as of 2026, is planned with a rise of 660 meters on that system. Even if the rope holds, time does not. A single run from lobby to crown is a long ride. Sky lobbies, shuttles, local cars, a vertical metro, not a hotel lift. The building becomes a transit system that happens to have apartments attached. A skyscraper is a machine for moving people and water and heat. Height is just the part you can photograph. The Burj Khalifa's peak electrical demand is 36 megawatts. It drinks about 946,000 liters of water a day and recovers around 15 million gallons of condensate a year from its own air. A taller mixed-use tower would need more. You cannot push a city's water a kilometer in one lift as if it were a house. Tanks and plants sit every 20-odd floors. Heat has to leave, waste has to come down. A vertical city has the same metabolism as a horizontal one, except every kilogram travels in an elevator. Then someone asks what it costs. There is no honest single price. Published figures for the 1 kilometer class attempt sit around $1 to $1.5 billion in a lower cost market years ago. A finished kilometer tower, built as a real vertical city in a high cost city, is more honestly several billion. And it could run higher. The number moves with the ground, the labor, the materials, the finance, the program. Anyone who gives you a price to the dollar is selling a rendering. So what would it look like? From the street, a granite and bronze podium, human, and then the shaft going away from you until the lantern is weather. From the air, a triangular 3-lobe taper, 3 shoulders, silver glass, graphite belts. At sunset, the metal goes warm. At night, the interiors make a regular grid, and one yellow-orange beacon marks the crown. Inside, a sky lobby, a corridor that could be any good building, until the window shows you the city as a map. On the skyline, it does not join the other towers. It ends them. Could we actually do it? The structure, the shaping, the concrete, the steel. Largely, yes, today. We already stand at 828 meters. The remaining height is not a new species of matter. The elevators are not finished business. The logistics of years on a single site, in wind, with a city still running around the fence, that is not a drawing problem. The money is not a drawing problem. And the reason is not a drawing problem. It is not impossible. It is not easy. If humanity can build a structure 1 kilometer into the sky, the real question may not be whether we can build it, but whether there is a reason to. Subscribe to MEGASTRUCT for the engineering behind humanity's most ambitious ideas.